Okay, let's start this session then. Which one is here? Somewhere here? Okay, cool. Okay, guys. So we're a small team of people here now, but who cares? So first of all, welcome, and I'm glad to open this track, this Azure track. Now, just to take the context and see the context, how many of you care about security? I mean, okay, not that many people. Uwe, you don't care about security anymore? No?
All my machines are running with SA, no password.
Cool stuff. Okay, so how many of you have trust in Azure? Do you trust when you put your stuff on Azure already or not? Because I feel like I'm not that trusted still. Do you feel safe in Azure? Yeah, more or less? More or less? Okay, so what we are going to do today is we are going to take a look at two of the things that are already in Azure in terms of security, and two of the things, of course, which are coming also in 2016. So these two features that you are about to see are both in Azure Database already and are in the first previews of the 2016 release. And all of those features, both of them, can do only one thing for you, can enhance your security, can add additional layers to your security, thus making your application more secure. Okay, it's not the perfect security though, and you'll see why. Now, first of all, thanks to those, I don't know how many of those are, just incredible amount of sponsors. I hope that you understand that without those companies, these events are not actually possible. So go talk with those guys, see whether or not you can do something for them or they for you, who knows, and just be really, really appreciative that these guys are still here and helping us. Now, thanks to also to those guys. Last year we didn't appreciate you guys probably that much, but this year definitely thank you very much for everything that you are doing, because these guys are they're doing quite some work. I can tell you they're doing quite some work, so thank you very much, guys. Now, before I start, I just want to do a quick disclaimer about this session. This is not a marketing talk by any means. I'm not coming from Microsoft, and I don't care about marketing in this case. What I'm going to show you and what I'm going to talk to you about is coming from something that we're building inside our company. I work in Bulgaria, as you will see after a moment, and we have built a complete Azure-based solution now. It's a complete SQL server with Azure Database, with Elastic stuff, and everything is in Azure. It's an HR application that's called Staffico, but we are not HR, so we don't care, right? We care about the other aspects, and what I'm going to show you is by no means marketing, because you are going to see some really heavy problems with those technologies that I'm going to show you, which you really have to know about. Now, I work for this company in Bulgaria that's called Boris. I work as a SQL Server consultant there. However, I'm also helping the company inside for the software that they are building. Otherwise, I work with customers. I'm a SQL MVP, which means that I was in SQL in Oslo, I was in Stockholm user group, and I'm now here in Paris, which means that I love sharing my knowledge, speaking in front of you guys, in front of audiences all across the world, podcasts, webcasts, what have you. I do a lot of trainings. I'm a freelance trainer, and I'm a Pluralsight author. If you know what Pluralsight is, probably you know. I have some vouchers with Pluralsight for me. And one of the last things, probably most interesting for Uwe, who hasn't heard about this will be interesting. There is one thing that really makes me sick in this world, and this is broken presentations, and especially broken presentation design. So in the last 3 months, Uwe, I was a bit quiet in the SQL Server space because I founded a creative agency that's dealing with this problem, meaning that we are trying to help people, events, freelancers, just achieve more by presenting better, because I'm really sick of that. I was about to say a word that's should be not on the camera. Now, enough for me. Let's see how this presentation is structured. Now, what we're first going to do, we are going to touch on a thing that's called dynamic data masking first. This technology is both in Azure DB and in SQL Server 2016. So whether or not I'll show it to you in Azure, it doesn't really matter. You'll see it in 2016 already, and you'll see it there also. So this is about dynamic data masking first. Then what we are going to do is we are going to talk about something else that's called row-level security. A feature, again, both in Azure and in 2016. In Azure, this feature last week was announced as global availability, meaning that Microsoft are saying this is the final version of the product and it's now stable enough. Once we see the row-level security and how cool it is, right, we are going to fall down really quickly because I'll show you what problems this technology still have, because these are serious problems. These really are serious problems, and whenever you have serious problems in a security feature, that's a problem, right? So we are going to do that, and at the end, I will again try to make you feel more like happy and go out of this session with the feeling that Microsoft knows about that stuff and they're about to fix it. But now in 2015, September, you have to know about this if you are about to implement it. Now, let's fire this up. Let's start with dynamic data masking. What is this? What is this? Have you ever thought that it would be great if there was a really easy way for us to mask the sensitive data from people who should not be allowed to see it? Like hide it in some way, by mask it with some signs or something. Wouldn't it be great if we can do that, right? In an easier way. This is what dynamic data masking is. So dynamic data masking, what it gives you is not just an easy way. You now don't have to write any functions. You don't have to buy any third-party products. You see how easy it is. This is not marketing. I will show you this after a second. And this is more or less demo-intensive session. So if I am the manager, if I am the guy with the suit and the tie and everything, if I select something both from Azure or from SQL Server 2016, it really doesn't matter. I want to be able to see all of the data unmasked, right? Why? Because I'm the manager. That's it. However, if I'm the guy with the t-shirt, meaning the developer or someone from the sales or the DBA or someone else in the company, I may not be allowed to see the emails and the credit card numbers of the people in the company, right? That doesn't make sense. Now, that in our case, with the HR application, it's really funny, because when you have so many candidates for work, it doesn't make sense to allow everyone to see their data, right? Phone numbers, you know how much data we give to HRs. Phone numbers, emails, salaries, etc. Now, one of the problems, and probably I will say it just because it's funny, but some of the problems that we know about is first, the DBAs are allowed to see all of the data, right? And that has to end, even though I'm coming from the DBA background. That has to end. And at the same time, people are exploiting this. Like my colleagues are exploiting this functionality because at the end of the day, who is going to stop me to see the candidate who applied for a position? Let's say it's a woman, and see her phone number inside the database when I have permissions in that database. One of my colleagues got his girlfriend in this way. I mean, these are serious, serious stuff. So this is why we're applying such a technology, and I'll tell you after a second how. Now, why is it dynamic then? What does that mean? And this is really important for you to understand, because many people are taking a look at this technology and they're saying, oh, that technology sucks, or it's crap. That it's not true, because people who are reading the first lines only of the articles don't understand the complete idea of the technology. This thing is not the technology to encrypt your data. By no means. By no means. This is, I have a great friend in Slovenia, who you may know him. Probably you guys have heard him, Mladen Pradic. This guy really really understands security, and he has a really cool opinion about what security is, as I told you. Security is levels. You add more levels of security. Why? Because if you want to stop someone to crack you down, you have to make his work harder. You cannot stop him. The only thing that you can do is to make his work hard by adding more layers, more and more layers of security. This is just one more layer. This is not the perfect solution by anything. So this thing is not masking your data. This is not encrypting your data. This is masking your data right before it goes over the network. So this means that the data itself is not encrypted by any means. And you'll see what this means in demo. What this also means is that because it's dynamic and it happens before you send the data over the wire, it doesn't change your execution plans, which is kind of cool. This is really cool. That doesn't change the performance of your application. In our testing, what we have seen up until now is almost nothing in terms of performance degradation from this thing. Nothing. Of course, bear in mind, we are testing, our first customer is having 100 HRs. So it's not a busy system, as we know it, right? So this is something that you really have to know about. Let me show you how this thing works and what you can do with it. Now, whether or not you're in Azure or whether or not you're in 2016, here is the case. And why are we using this? Oh, okay, forgot it. Why are we using it? Friends from Bulgaria, okay. So why are we using it? Imagine the case with dynamic data masking that when you have an application which you are selling for as a software as a service, you probably are pricing this application per month, right? You have seen that business model which is per month. You pay $10 per month and you have the application. Now, you can have different plans, right? The first one is, for example, basic, which includes some of the basic functionality of the application, which costs $10. And then you have, in our case, you can have something like enhanced security in a second plan, which is called, let's say, premium. And this second plan with this enhanced security behind it is dynamic data masking and row level security. And you allow this and you now charge, for example, $20 per month. So once we saw this feature, this is the idea behind why are we testing this and why are we going to actually publish our application with those features. Now, let me show you how this works. So the first thing that I'm going to show to do is I'll set up everything. I have the database created already because otherwise it takes years to create it in Azure because it's Azure, it works, right? Now I'm going to create a table, a simple table, and I'm going to insert some of the records that you saw on the slide. Nothing fancy. You know those guys, don't you? Okay, so let's see the data. These are the records that we have. Some colleagues in Bulgaria. Now, what I want to create is a different schema. I'll create a schema because I want to show you something else there. And I want to create the schema, the table inside, the same table, nothing special, absolutely nothing special. And then here is the new table in the different schema, the same data. We don't care about the data itself. And then a view on top of it, okay? So what I want you to notice is this line here. The phone number as phone. Just to give you the context about aliasing. Well, when you are using aliases in your queries with this masking and stuff, what's going to happen there? Because there were some changes in this technology in the last 2 months, which you may have seen or I'm about to show you. Now, this is it. That's the setup. Now let's move. Let's do some masking. Let me show you how this works. So the first thing is this. I will change the context to master because probably, as you know, in Azure you cannot use the really wonderful keyword use to change the context of the database. So you go to master and I'll create 2 logins. One is called manager. Let me bring that higher for Uwe. I'll create a login that's called manager and I'll create a login that's called employee. Now with dynamic data masking, you have to choose which login, and in Azure, this is only with SQL logins. It works only with SQL logins. In the on-prem version, it works and it will work with Windows authentication also. So that's good news as of now. Now, in Azure, it works only with SQL logins. Now, you have to choose with dynamic data masking who is going to be the boss, who is going to be allowed, or who are the people that will be allowed to see all of the data, right? In our case, it will be the manager to keep it really simple. Now, what I want to create after that is our users for those accounts, for those logins. I will again switch the context. And you have, before someone asks, you have all the scripts, everything. So don't worry about that. And the manager is going to be owner of the database, and the employee is going to be the data reader. As simple as that. Let's not make it more complicated. Now let's see who can access the database and who cannot. Let's try the manager. Let's try his access.
Can you use impersonation in Azure?
Impersonation in terms of, yes, you can. And actually, part of the demo is using impersonation, yes. And the employee, I believe, it's absolutely the same password, of course. Why bother? I mean, the fact that I actually put passwords is good. Uwe is still not doing it. I mean,
the first password is so strong you can
yeah.
reuse it.
Yes, of course. When you come up, we worked with Vanya here in the same company. Boy, oh boy, what rules for complexity of the passwords we have seen. It's just insane. You cannot believe it. Probably you have seen them too, though. Anyway, now let's see what those guys can do. The manager. Uwe, please report this to Redgate. This is just sucks. Come on. This is the manager. Sees everything, and it should see everything. And the employee should also see everything right now, right? Let's just try it. This is just awful. This is just awful. Now, so far so good. Everyone is having their access. Everything works. Good. Now, what's next? These columns here, phone number, email address, credit card number, I don't like them. In case of the employee, that doesn't make sense. Let's try to do something. What you have to do, if you are in 2016, in the on-premise version, you have T-SQL to do that. However, in Azure, you don't have it. You have an easier way. Now, let me show you what this means. So if you go to the portal, and you go to your server, okay, and you reload, and you refresh your page, and you hope that it will work after that, and you go here, and you find your database. Take a look at how modern it is. And then, once this opens up, once you scroll down, you will see this thing right here. Let me try to zoom in. Uwe, can you see it? Dynamic data masking. Still in preview though. So if you click on this, there are some. Here is where the magic happens. So first thing to notice, this is new. This was not in the product. This was not in the product until yesterday. This is completely new for me. I'm seeing it first time ever. So they are giving you now recommendations about what you can secure. So this is really interesting. I haven't seen that still. Now, the first thing that we have to do is add who is the boss. Privileged logins, right? This is the guy that we said it's the manager. So you just type manager. And with Azure, please, I have an advice for you. Please be patient with this technology. I mean, please, with the portal especially, please be patient. And also, whenever you are doing something, do one step, save. Do second step, save. Do third step, save. Don't do a lot of things and then save. It will crash, and you will not be happy and everything. Now, what is this? To enforce dynamic data masking, click here and select the required option in the security-enabled settings. This sounds like scientific stuff. However, this is not scientific, and more or less, really soon, let's go it this way, this will be fixed. The idea behind this is that you are required at the current moment to change your connection string if you are about to use this technology. Now, why am I saying this? Because if you noticed, there is another word here. In general, your connection string till now for Azure is database.windows.net. This is a new one, secure Windows.net. this applies, and this says use the dynamic data masking stuff. This will be changed though, so no worries. There will be no need for us to change our connection strings, which is okay. Now, as of now, we have to change it. And
But the question,
yeah.
that means that if it's optional, you can either use the secure access or the non-secure access.
So the optional, if you are still on the optional one and you connect with the old connection string, nothing is applied. Exactly. If you switch from here to required, even if you are using the old connection string, then it will switch to the masking stuff. However, this will not be. This will be. They'll expect changes. Just I can tell you that. Expect changes. Now I'll switch to required just to be on the safe side here. And let the fun begin. In general, let me just confirm that everything is fine. And that's why I'm telling you, be patient with Azure. As you can see, let's see whether or not this was applied. Okay, it was applied. So let's start adding masks. How do you add masks in Azure? Again, in 2016, you have the T-SQL stuff, quite easy, well documented already by some guys. You can see it. Now in Azure, it is brutally easy. It just is. Now take a look. You have what the name of the mask will be, and you can now drill down to which object you want to mask. This was not the case 1 month ago. This is a new UI, so this is really nice. Now let's first fix, and let's not lose that much time here. Let's first fix the which was the column that we wanted to fix first. Let's see. Let's say the phone number. Phone number. It's in the DBO schema, the customers table, and this is the column. Now, how am I going to mask it? By default, you have some masks already predefined. Credit card value, security, social security number, email, or custom string. You can build yourself a mask. And this is what we are going to do with the phone number. So here they ask us how many signs, characters you want to see in front. So how many of the first you want to see? I'll say 6, and you'll see why. Then how many of those you want to hidden and with what signs? And I'll say stars, those little things. And I'll say 7 because the whole phone number is 13 signs, 4, 5, 6, 7. And how many do you want to show at the end? And I don't want anything. I just want to be the first 6 signs and nothing else. Okay, that's it. So I'll say save, and I'll again say save. And before I try it out, you'll see that if I go and try it out with the manager, let's see, this is the employee. If I go with the manager, and this may block for a second, let's see. Because once you start to apply the mask, you will see a slowdown. This is what we are seeing in the first, let's say, 30 to a minute currently. It's completely unpredictable. I have seen it work like this, and I have seen it, I had to wait for 2 minutes. However, you don't have to reconnect. That is also cool. But you can see that your users are going to be blocked for a second, so don't do it in production hours, right? So I'll wait. In the meantime, I'll set up the other masks. So how can we create the other masks? You guessed it. I'll just create add mask. The UI is just perfect. Email, because I want to show you some stuff here. The DBO, the customers, the email, and I'll use the one that they have created for us, the pre-created. So I'll save this. I'll save again, and then I'll add another one, which is called. Which was the third one? I don't want to use it as of now, during the demo. Let's use it after the session, because this is the first time I have ever seen this. So it's quite new, and I expect it to not work. Okay. So the other one is this timed out. Let's see whether or not it was because of the web connection or not. Credit card number. Credit card, DBO, customers, credit card, and again the pre-default credit card value. Save. Now saving again, I don't know how do you feel about this, but Microsoft in the last 1 year, they started to spend money on user experience. And you can see it now in some of their products. Even in Windows 10, you can see that some of the stuff is more, obviously they're thinking about the end user experience now, because things are really simple at some of the technologies that they're building. And here again, so the manager is still seeing everything, which is nice. Let's see the employee. Let him reconnect. So take a look at what happened. So this is the result. Uwe. This is the end result of the masks. And so it's not more than 1 minute or 2 minutes. However, let's move on. This is as simple as it gets. Now let me show you something else. I want to show you the other table that we created. So this is dynamic data masking. Now I want to show you the other table that we created, this one, the business new employees. And if I just let me try to see it because this is a really important one. This is with the manager. He should be able to see everything. And this is the employee, right? Still seeing everything. Now I want to mask the phone number because it was using an alias in a view, remember? So let's mask the phone number quickly. Dynamic data masking. Oh, come on, stay with me just for one more. Okay, so probably I have to scroll. Okay, anyway. Let's add the mask. I don't want to change the name of the mask. I don't care this time. This is the table. I want to mask, and now remember the column. So once I mask the column, and this is the same, I'll apply the same mask. Let's see. I'll apply the same mask. Save. I want to show you something because it is coming as a question really, really frequently. Now, if I go back, this is the employee. Let's wait. Still, take a look. Like 5 or 10 seconds, and it's masked. So you can see the difference in front of you. So bear in mind, this is the table, right? So once I'm selecting from the table, I see the data masked. Now, what's going to happen if I use a view where the column was actually referenced by an alias? Take a look. Take a look. This is the employee. This is the manager. The manager still sees the data, right? But the employee with the view still seeing the data masked. Now, the takeaway for you from this one is whenever you mask a column inside SQL Server 2016 or in Azure, whenever you mask a column, everywhere where this column is referenced, no matter how, it's masked. That was not the case 2 months ago. Just for your information, this, however, is now being changed, and it's for good. Trust me. Because if you are having differences between columns and aliases, it becomes a nightmare. But we can discuss this later. Now, just one more thing here. I want to show you the plan. I'll give the employee permissions to see his execution plan. Tell me why it has to take so much to just grant a permission. Come on. This is Azure, yeah. Sometimes it's just awful. It's just awful. You said something about
Yes,
yeah. It's just awful. Sometimes, take a look. Well, in Oslo, 5 days ago, 2 minutes before my session, I ran a create database statement for this secure database to use in front of the demo. 3 minutes. It cannot create a simple same empty database 3 minutes. I was like, come on, let's go. Take a look. Okay, let's wait it for 1 more second. In the meantime, if it's not working right now, I'll just give you the insight. There, again, as I told you, okay, there is no change in the anyway, so if I run this, take a look. If I run this with, here's the impersonation now working. If I run this with the employee, even though the data is being masked, the cost for the whole the cost for the whole plan is this one, right? You can remember the cost from here in general. And there is, take a look at the execution plan. Nothing new, there is nothing new. There is no new operators or something like this. Yeah? The same, absolutely the same with the manager. And again, the revert is not working as it's expecting, as I expected. Let's see. Oh, something broke in Oslo, obviously with Azure. Let's connect to with the manager. Yeah. Let's connect with the manager. See his permissions. Here is it. The same plan. The same cost for, in terms of the cost, is the same. The plan, the same. Why? Because the masking itself happens just before you send the data over the wire. It doesn't happen on the level of the storage engine or something else in the query optimizer. Really interesting stuff.
What is about indexing a mask?
If the column that you have in the index structure is masked.
Let's say you create a new phone number.
Yeah.
You run a query with a predicate on the phone number.
Yeah. No, it's the same. It doesn't happen. Now, what's the problem with this is, remember the phone number that I put for myself? It's this one, okay? Because the data is not masked, is not encrypted, I can guess it, right? I can guess it. Take a look. So if I select 1, here is my phone number, masked at the moment, right? But I can say, and I can start guessing what numbers do we have, and whether or not we will get some result. And it's completely possible, right? This is because the data is not encrypted. You have to understand. This is not DDE. This is dynamic data masking. Works for completely different case. This is what I want you to understand. The same thing applies with something else. If you do, for example, select into from this table to a new table, the data is again unmasked in that new table, right? Why? Because the data is not encrypted anywhere. That's why. So this technology, you can easily go behind what it offers, right? You can easily crack it down, but it's just another layer.
And if you have a role level too, that you say manager is only allowed to say the top management employees with masks and the normal employees without.
You mean if you have, so you want to apply the role level on the role level security plus the masks.
I want to have masks, let's say, dedicated to predicates. Let's say every employee which is in level 3, just for example.
Yeah.
The phone numbers are masked.
No, you cannot do it as of now. No, you cannot do this as of now. But it's this. I'm seeing different things here. So
I think that it's,
disconnected.
it is, as you said, it's not about the encryption. So if you're a DBA,
Okay. Yeah.
DBA that is connecting to the internet directly, then
Yeah.
it's not decrypting the data. It's more for if you have reports that are showing the data.
Exactly.
To do anything
In our case, just a quick example, and moving forward, because I want you to, so I'll just guess the site. Let me see. In our case, don't ask. In our case, if that works, you are reaching the application, and we'll see it after a moment. If that was the website, I don't remember. In our case, you reach the application and you work with the application from a web browser. So you don't have access to the SQL Server Management Studio at all. So it's a cool way of doing another layer. Not the perfect security, but which many people are expecting. You can see over in the MVP list, many people are like, oh, this doesn't work for that case. Yeah, it doesn't. But it's not the case. It doesn't mean that it's useless, right?
No, security is only for the group.
Yeah, more or less. You can use it. You can use it. Yeah. Now, let's move on with this one while we're waiting for the other stuff. Now, row-level security. What is row-level security? Again, you have it in 2016 and in Azure Database. Now, what is row-level security? Row-level security is a feature that, in my opinion, should have been in the product, I don't know, in 2005 or something. Up until now, how do we do row-level security? Up until now. In the?
Inside the database model.
Okay, in the database model, some people are doing it with.
I do it with certificates and with views.
Okay, some people are doing it with views. And what you end up having are, let's say, numerous views, and you should manage all of them and everything. And this has to end at some point. There should be an easier way for us to do this. Now, I already think that you have thought about this. So wouldn't it be great if we have like a central place where we can manage all of this? Like define something at one single place, and from there it will fix all of the security levels. Wouldn't it be great, finally, to have? Yes, it will be. Now, what row-level security is for example, if you have that same guy, remember the manager, he should be able to see all of the orders for our company, the CEO. Now, however, once the t-shirt guy comes into the play, the DBA or someone else from HP, once he comes into his office, he should not be able to see everything. Or if this is the salesperson, he should be able to see only the orders which he is responsible for in the same table, right? Without doing anything else. Without doing anything else. Now, how is that possible? How is it possible now in 2016 or Azure DB? First of all, there is no GUI. And that reminds me for extended events in 2008 R2, and I'm really worried how many people are going to use it. Because there is no GUI now, currently, and you have to write a function which later on is not enough, as you will see after a second. And this function, you can see a lot of things and a lot of people writing about it. But this function, what I want you to remember from, it's not that it requires schema binding and it requires select one and stuff like this. It has its requirements. Okay, fine. What I want you to remember is the last two rows. I want you to imagine that these two rows are merging with your statements, right? So what we are going to do is, if we go and select star from some table, we say where the sales representative, which we accept as parameter, is the user that's logged in. So we put the filter in this way, right? So select from where. What's the case?
But if you do an impersonation, you say, I'm an employee, but I will execute as manager.
It will work. You will see it. Yeah?
Yeah, but you don't usually have, if you're an employee, you should not have a permission to do an execute as.
Yeah, that's also true. Different layers, right? Different layers again. Yeah. So I want you to, the only thing that I want you to grasp from here is that this thing, this is the important stuff. This merges with your statements.
So it's like they're doing a cross join to this table and then where on the workloads.
You can imagine it like more or less like a join. Yeah. More or less like a join. Once you create that, so once we create the filter by itself, and you can write whatever and however complex filter you want, right? It can be based on username, you can base by any other function, you can join some tables here if you have some reference data inside other tables. However, you cannot do and you cannot reference other databases from here, right? Not possible as of now. So once you create that function, then you have to create, and that's really low, and I'll tell you what it is, Uwe. So once you create that one, then you have to create the so-called security policy. That's a new object inside SQL Server. I will let you know about it. So this object, for the DBAs here, you will be able to also audit with policy-based management, which is great, especially for the fans of policy-based management like me. And what you do then is add filter predicate and say this is the function. And once you create it, from here you say enable it. So you can enable it, disable it, all of that thing. Also, I was really recently thinking about it. If someone is doing something with this security predicate on, off, on, off, on, off, you can monitor this with DDL trigger also, right? So if you are worried that someone is doing something nasty, you can monitor that stuff. Now, let me show you how this works, because after I show you how it works, I will show you where the problems are, because there are a ton of them. Okay, we have 20 minutes. Let's go. Shit. Okay. It's okay, so stay with me. So, okay. So, that doesn't make sense. Take a look. Where is my mouse? Where is everything else? Okay, that doesn't really make sense. Let me try to thank you, VMware, for everything that you are doing for me right now. So let me just try to suspend it, to pause it, and to reboot it again, to start it again. So let me show you how. I'll show you how it works. It's not a complicated thing by any means. Once you create all those filters, you can really easily check it by execute as, employee execute as this one, as manager, or execute as someone else. You can see the rows being filtered. Now, what I'm going to show you is that because these are filters, and you apply this is a function at the end of the day, this is not like dynamic data masking. This will change your execution plan. And because of this, you have to be ready to see performance degradation or expect performance degradation. Better expect it and test about it. So this is something that we are seeing, and especially if you create some really complex function, then it can become really problematic. Because if you are starting to join 5 or 6 tables in the function itself, and you are merging that to every one of your statements, boy, this is going to be not that quick. Now, let's hope this will work. I really hope so. Okay, so we're going to do something like this. We're going to do something like, just give me a sec. We're going to do something like this. In the meantime, the first, because I know how it's going to be fixed, in the first thing, I have spoken at a lot of events, obviously. So let me show you something. I want to show you, I want to shut down the machine because I know it's not going to work first. And in the meantime, I'll show you the first demo on a video, because as a good speaker, I have recordings of my videos, and I want to shut it down because I want to show you the second part. Shitty VMware. So let's take a look how it works. So if you go, so if you go, sorry for that, but it's better to see it and not actually just talk about it. So if you go and create, you'll see, you create a login. You create, this first time ever using video in a presentation, but at the end of the day, it's more or less better to have it. So if you go and create a login, another login, you create a user for it, and now you add him as a data reader, right? To have permissions to read. Wow, this machine is shutting down. I'll see it after a second. So what's going to happen is if you create a table, and now this is really interesting. The sales rep column by which I'm filtering on, right? This is the column that I'm also using as filtering. You can see a lot of examples on what you can filter on on the web. You can filter based on context info. You can filter on a lot of stuff. However, this may require some code changes from your end. This may require some code changes on your end, because you have to think about what filter should I be using to filter the data on. And if you don't have it currently, you may want to add it as a column. Yeah.
It also means that from performance issues, let's say you had a table with your sales rep.
Yeah.
And an ID.
Yeah.
That means that you will have to join that to be able to filter on the name. So that will say, okay, you know what? It's actually better to copy the name as well to the sales.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can do it directly.
Exactly. That's why this technology, this feature is more or less, you have to test it. You have to test it in your case, and you have to really be careful about the performance. Really be careful about the performance. Adding some data. Boy, why I'm not having 2 monitors here? That sucks. Adding some data, and this demo is short. It's 1 minute, so take a look. This is the data, right? All of it. So once you create, now here I'm creating a different schema. Let me explain to you why am I creating a different schema. It's not by by any means it's not required. Now what's the case? The case is that we want to create a different schema that will hold all of those objects, and we want to have one person that's called security officer at HP. You want to have security officer in every account, or more than one, of course. Why should not we make it more complicated when we can do it? And this one person will control and will do nothing else but this. Will control the security policies that are applied on the tables. This is the main idea behind it, or at least if you're asking Microsoft. By no means you require a different schema to add all of that stuff. Yeah. By no means. They just say, okay, let's create a different object and we'll grant one person permissions to that object and that's it. So this is the function, and take a look at once it's created. VMware. Shit. So once you create a function, I have commented the code quite heavily. Yes, okay, you will see it. That's not a problem, but it's better to have comments. Once you create it, come on.
Can you have different frequent predicates?
Yes, you can. You are expected to write those. You can write whatever you want.
I'm talking about, can you use it for other things? Or Microsoft didn't meant you to use it for other things?
What do you mean?
I don't know, you can do a random predicate. I don't know, whatever you want to try to do. You can just want to tease your DBA and put a predicate that only gives them the first 10 rows. I don't know. You can do whatever you want, basically, right?
Yes. Yeah, you can.
Someone by just putting predicates and they don't know.
Yeah.
It's filtering some of the data from it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Once you apply it, once you enable it, and there are the executions now. They execute as in the impersonations. So take a look. So employee sees what it is supposed to see. And now I'll fire up the VM until while we are waiting for in talking about the other slides. Marketing sees what he sees, and the manager, because he was in the filter and he has to see everything, he's seeing everything, right? That's it. That works. Okay, so let me fire up the machine again. And I'm really sorry about that, but shit happens all the time, and it's better to see at least the first part of the demo this way. Now, so now, please be, at least the projector be with me. So now, that's okay. That's cool, right? We have it. Okay, we have it. That's all nice. Now, don't decide that fast on this technology, especially because if you are using it in a multi-tenant scenario like we do, where we have a table and tables with all of our customers and all of their data in one table and not divided per customer, right? We don't have copies of every single object per customer. That's a different story. Now, we are in that spot where we go down and we lower our expectations against Microsoft. So let me show you why this feature is probably not a security feature. Because whenever I see a security feature that has security flaws in it, it's kind of strange, right? Kind of really strange. Now let's fire this up. Yeah. Come on, Mac. You're my best friend. Let's do it. Let's go. So this one I will show you definitely because I don't want you to see the recordings by any means. So SQL Server Management Studio, secure Azure Database, secure that Azure, open the solution. Okay. So now, let's wait for this to open, and we have 10 more minutes, right? Yeah, approximately, for the last demo. So, what's that? 7, cool. I have a very modern phone, as you can see. Nice. iPhone 6S. It's a mind phone. Yeah, it's a mind phone. So let me close everything. Let me go here. Let me just set up the tables because I want you to see those. Please connect, at least this. Thank you. That's appreciated. Now let me just quickly create everything that we need here, because I want to be able to reproduce everything. So I'll create this login, same password again and again and again and again. Secure. Again, I'm at least using passwords, so it's okay. And I'll create a table and I'll insert the records, right? Okay. Something else that I need. Let's create the filters and apply the security policy. Okay, so let's create this one first. Thank you. Then the function. Then this one. 7 minutes, now 6. So that's it. Now let me show you where this technology is getting really problematic. So if I go here, and I say, for some reason, I'm not pointing to any company, for some reason, we are having, for our application, we are having SA, like Uwe said, and this SA has quite some permissions. I am sure that you have seen this in production many, many times, so let's reproduce it quickly. So let's say that we have our application or someone from the team being able to, being in the DDL admin and in the data writer, you'll see why after a second, and I want this guy, let's say he's the developer, to also be able to read his execution plan, right? More or less all of the developers nowadays, it's better to have this permission to see the execution plan. Let's grant those permissions. And now impersonate that same guy. First off, once we do that, take a look at what happens. I'll just log in. From here, I want to open the statistics because I want to show you something. Let's say that this guy is really clever and he's connecting to the application from Management Studio from some similar tool and not from the application portal and stuff like this. Take a look at what can happen. So I go to the DBA sales, I go to the stats. Let's see. Probably because I haven't run any query up until now to create stats for it. Let me create some stats for these guys quickly. Come on, come on, come on. This is the problem with live demos. And of course with Azure when it does not want to connect. Take a look. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. That's live. That's more than live. So the idea is this: once I open and once I have the statistics for that table, and I have the permissions to read the statistics object, the guy that is filtered out, the guy that has timeout expired, okay, but it connected. Timeout expired, but it connected. That's really nice. Once I open that statistics, the guy that is filtered out. Oh, wait. Did I create the table? I thought that I created a table, right? But it's not in SecureDB. Or is it? No, it's in SecureDB. Once I open the statistics, it is. It's just empty, okay. And then let's select, just to be sure.
We don't have security.
Okay, so what am I missing here?
You don't give a
name? No.
You just don't have security to see the rows.
I am the owner of the. I'm of the. Wait. Okay, cool. Let me see something. Okay, that's probably because I'm filtered out at the moment here. Once I open the stats, let's see. Now we'll see whether or not there is some data. I'll copy that out here. And I just want to put this thing here. Come on. Take a look at this. Remember, this is the marketing guy. Oops, sorry. This one. So this is the marketing guy. And take a look at what he's seeing. first off, he is seeing that there are some rows that he should not be aware of. Then he's seeing actually the histogram of the table. So he sees some of the records that he should not be able to see at all, right? This is not something that I would expect. First thing. Now, second thing, once I do that, because I restarted the machine. Second thing, once I enable the execution plan, there is a new operator, right? A new operator. And if you hover the table scan also, you can see, oh, we have a bit more rows. You can see that even though he has to see less rows, he can easily see how many rows there are in the table. Now, another thing is that he is also, if he hovers over the filter operator, he is able to see also the predicate. So he can guess what the other values are also, right? Depending on what your predicate is. So you are somewhat telling the guy that has to be secure what security was applied to him, which kind of doesn't make sense. Now, let's just say that you are not in that case, okay? Let's say that you don't have, your accounts for your applications and all your companies are perfect. You don't have you don't have explicit permissions applied that should not be there. Now let's try something else, something that you should really be worried about whenever you have multi-tenant application. Let's say that you want to update something. Let's say that I'm the marketing guy and I want to update values that I'm not seeing, right? What's going to happen? Execute successfully. Let's see the result. Was I able to? No, there is no Porsche written anywhere, right? So I was not allowed to update values that I'm not seeing. That's cool. Can I delete some of those from employee, right? Can I do that? Revert. Let's see the employee. Can I remove something? No, everything is fine. Right? So I cannot update and delete records that I'm not seeing. Okay. What else? What's the one that left? Can I insert records that I'm not seeing? Execute as marketing. And this one, Porsche, of course. Take a look. Am I able to see them now? So in a multi-tenant application, I just inserted a record for another customer, for another person who bought my application, which I cannot see. That's a problem. That's a serious, serious problem. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot fix it, right? That doesn't mean that you cannot create, as I created here, you cannot create another function to check the result from the other function and then create a check constraint, what have you, right? It doesn't mean that you cannot fix it. I can, because we don't have time, I can create those. And if I insert again, if I try to insert again, it will block me, right? This is how it should be, though, and it's still not. This is still not coming. This is still not in the product. And if you are using it as we are with a multi-tenant app, this is something that you really need to be careful with. Really, really need to be careful with. These are just some of the problems. And you cannot use it on views. Yeah. But, of course, Microsoft, what they did, instead of fixing that problem, have you heard what they announced recently? They announced that this will work with in-memory OTP tables. Who cares about in-memory OTP tables when you have such problems? So is that security? Is that security? When you have security flows inside the feature itself? Is that security, or is that more or less something like a programmability feature? Because I personally am not sure that much that this is security anymore, right? Because when we saw that, this was like a no-go, no-go. Either we have to go in this route with check constraints and everything, or just forget about it. So that's why we are really careful with these technologies. Now, takeaways. It's great, don't get me wrong, it's great. I love being able to centralize all of the security predicates on one place and have the raw filters being applied from one place and not referencing everyone to reference different views. It's okay. It's okay. But currently, September 2015, it still has problems. You saw the execution plan, the statistics. You can see a lot of stuff. You can see a lot of leakages of information from this feature. So be aware of them. Dynamic data masking. Now this one is, for me, is a no-brainer. This is nice. You don't have to buy third-party products. It's so easy to enable, especially in Azure. You don't have to write any functions. Back then, we were writing functions to be applied to every table and for every user. Now you don't have to do that. And again, a lot's been going on in Azure. I don't know if you have noticed that a lot's going on. Microsoft are pushing really hard in Azure, so expect a lot of those things, not to say everything, to be fixed. They are having calls and they are setting up calls with people like us, and we are reporting all of those things really quickly. So expect them to fix a lot of stuff, but be aware of the problems currently because there are still problems. So that was from me. Don't forget that you have some evaluation forms, and probably there will be a raffle after that. Again, thank you very much. Thanks to the sponsors, and thanks to you as volunteers for being here. Let's free up the room for the other speaker. If you have any other questions, let's discuss them in front of this. Thank you, guys. Okay.